My name is Tamara Vala. I'm a developer from Landmark Group Developments, and today I will be discussing the White Paper. The key objectives of the new planning system will be to promote and enable economic growth and positive development for the benefit of the entire community while protecting the environment and enhancing people's way of life. It will achieve this by being simpler, more certain, more strategic and performance-based, working within a positive planning culture. Decision-making under the new system will be transparent and accessible, with people, businesses and organisations having the choice to be fully engaged in decisions that shape their local area and economies. Strategic planning will be fully integrated into land use planning decisions. The current planning system in New South Wales is an overly regulated and prescriptive system. The White Paper looks to make it simpler and easier to understand for developers and the community alike. To do this, a performance-based approach will be used, which will be more focused on facilitating the economic and employment growth of New South Wales in an environmentally and socially sustainable manner. Under the current planning system, development is shaped primarily by zones, which are put in place by the local council and dictate which uses will be permitted where. There are many different zones that all have very narrow uses. These zones can sometimes restrict complementary uses from being utilised within the same area. Overall, the White Paper greatly benefits developers, as a key aspect is to expedite the development approval process. Under the current planning system, it can take 71 days on average to process a DA, but under the new planning system, councils will be required to grant approval to 80% of all complying development within 25 days. Approvals for straightforward applications such as new homes and renovations that are under 2 stories and do not adversely affect the surrounding properties will be required to be approved in 10 days. Development will now be shaped by strategy, land use zones and development guides. Under the new planning system, there will be fewer zones. The current 36 zones will be amalgamated into 13 zones. This is a great benefit to developers, as now they'll be able to utilise sites for a wider range of uses than before. It gives greater flexibility to developers when designing their developments. Community participation in the planning process is an integral part of the changes that the White Paper will be making to planning in New South Wales. The community will be involved from the very beginning of the planning process and throughout, as opposed to just in the final stages of the approval process. A community participation charter will form part of the new planning legislation, and it will be a requirement of councils when making their strategic plans, regional growth plans, sub-regional plans and assessing development applications that all councils must act consistently with the charter. Councils will also be required to prepare a community participation plan to describe how the community will be actively involved in all levels of plan making and development assessment. As a result of this, the community will have more say as to where growth and infrastructure will occur in an area. The Charter will include 7 principles. When a planning authority is developing a New South Wales planning policy, a regional growth plan, a sub-regional plan or a local plan, the planning authority will be required to publish details as to how the community can participate in a specific plan-making process. They will be required to state the project timelines, the specific opportunities for the community to participate, where the community can access easy-to-understand information regarding the specific plan. There are various methods that the planning authorities can use to involve the community, and each authority can choose which methods they use. Any plans that are not effective will be requested to be amended by the expert panel established by the Director-General. The White Paper will also be implementing e-planning, which is where development applications and assessments will no longer be done through paper-based and consultation methods. Now everything will be done online and will include 3D interactive models and development guides. This will make the process more transparent and allow the community opportunity to have their say regarding the development. As a developer, I think it's a useful tool and will save us having to go to consultations with the council when putting our applications through. However, this could also have some negative effects, as community objections would be easier to make and more of the community would be able to look at the application from home instead of having to go into the council offices to review the application, which could result in delays of approvals. The White Paper will make very positive changes to planning in New South Wales for developers and the community alike. However, I do believe that the increased community participation will definitely complicate the approval process for the developers. Even though the time limits for the approvals have been reduced, and if the development complies with the zoning and the guidelines set out in the LEP, then the community will not be involved. However, when a development doesn't comply, it will be a merit assessment, and having such a high level of community involvement will lead to a lot more objections, which could become very costly when many changes must be made. Development guides will provide more detailed standards for development that is permitted within a particular zone. These guides will primarily address the physical form of development and mostly be presented through maps, diagrams and illustrations. In the previous planning system, numerical heights and floor space ratios were used to control the mass and scale of a new development. In the new planning system, they will be shown visually as building envelopes. Floor space ratios are being removed, but the density of the site will still be managed through the building envelopes. A building envelope is a three-dimensional space within which a building is to be contained. These building codes are developed based on design parameters like height, setbacks and site coverage. Form-based codes are a new tool that will be used to achieve specific urban form for a site. These codes will assess the form and mass of buildings in relation to each other and the relationship between the facades and the public realm. They also assess the scale and types of surrounding streets, blocks and public spaces. Form-based codes differ from conventional zoning. They are regulatory codes that are presented in both words and diagrams. The benefit of these codes is that they can show much more predictable results of what a building will look like when it's completed in relation to its surroundings.